Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. That is almost 5 years of Torah every single weekday morning, finding friends from all over the world. This is broadcast 1229. It is day 481 of war. We are present. We are going to say Boker Tov. We're going to say good morning to each other, learn some Torah, and give each other strength and comfort as we face today so that we can raise our spirits and be more prepared for the world. Janice, it's good to see you. Susie, Annie, Ashley and Linda, Barry and Chana, good to see you. Chana, Erev Tov to you. Julie Ann and Jonathan, Arlene and Haley, Penny, it's good to see you. Hi, Shush. It is broadcast 1229. Valerie, Tara, Jack, and Marilyn, good to see you. Chana sending love back to Jerusalem. Hi, Debbie. Sunday and Joyce, good to see you too. Amy and Minna, Boker Tov. Boker Tov, everybody. Let's take a breath. We'll sing a blessing and learn some Torah. Hi, Helen. Stan and Cecile. Hi, Susan. Daphne, my friend. It's good to see you. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. For those celebrating the Lunar New Year, may you and your year and all of our years be blessed. Glad to be able to share that with all of you. And Ron, you are sharing that your older sister, Florence Steiger, passed yesterday, several months short of her 101st birthday. You say that she led a full life and passed peacefully. Ron, may your sister's memory be forever blessed. May you be blessed and comforted. Thank you for sharing her with us. Today's Torah is in her memory. Friends, it's Parshat Bo, and it's broadcast 1229. And most of all, it's day 481 since October 7th, 2023. There is a lot to talk about, and whether we point to a Jewish-owned small business in Brooklyn defaced with terrible graffiti, or we look at Sydney, where the police uncovered a cache of explosives with a seeming target being a synagogue in Sydney, Australia. There is something in any direction you turn that is demanding of our attention. That is important to acknowledge. And how we hold ourselves centered matters so that we can face all of it. Because I didn't mention at all the threat to all of the nonprofits in UJA's orbit and constellation, which are unsure of the current or future moments because of the threat of the end of federal funding. It is important to know, as my dear teacher and mentor, the CEO of UJA, Eric Goldstein, says, that philanthropy, the great, immense work that we do, can supplement but cannot replace the responsibility and work of government. And so, when it comes to all of the different facets that we care about, that our values drive us toward, we need to be very aware and vigilant, and perhaps even very active in response to the possible threats to the strength of the institutions that do the good work we believe in. We will all do our part. I'm asking you to not be reactive, but to be strategic. Where can you make a difference? And one of the most important things we can do is continue to show up. We continue to show up and be strong together. We take the time each morning to learn some Torah, to give ourselves the gift that has been given to our people, so that we can find ourselves stronger and stable, so we can do the great work ahead. And so, friends, first of all, breathe. I name all of this because how authentic could our Torah possibly be if we didn't ground it within our world? This is meant to be applied Torah. So let's think. We are meant to be strong and healthy so we can do this great work. So pause and breathe. And we have been guided since the birth of our people, since the birth of Am Yisrael, by Torah. So take a second. Take a second. Valerie's asking about the practical to-dos about funding for nonprofits. I would say be in touch with your UJA professional and say, how can I help? And I guarantee you there's a way for you to be of strength and of help so that we can support strategically all of the places of concern and manifest our values with strength and strategy. So that's the best I can do for now. As I learn more, trust me, I will share it. And it tells us something that comes from our Parsha as well. Parshat Bo has us leaving Egypt. Now, it begins in the middle of the plagues. But when it comes to the moment of our emergence, something very interesting happens. Not only do Bnei Israel leave, this new nation that we call Am Yisrael, not only do we go up from Egypt, because going to Egypt meaning enslavement in the biblical framework, that's to go down. But to leave is to rise up. It means a million things when I say it, I know. But here we are recognizing that rising up means shattering the bonds of enslavement, fighting inequity, and recognizing that corrupt power is not the correct usage of power. When we leave Egypt, the verse in chapter 12, verse 38 in Exodus says, V'gam erev rav ala itam v'tzonu v'kar mikneh kaved me'od. And the translation in front of me, I'm using the Koren translation. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, very much cattle. Very much cattle. You know that that's not a translation I would have written. But here we are recognizing not only does Bnei Israel leave, the mixed multitude leaves with us. What does that mean? I'm quoting now Rabbi Tova Leibovich Douglas. She says, what is a mixed multitude? Rashi, she quotes, the great medieval commentator, tells us that it is a mixture of converts of different nationalities. Some commentators say that it refers specifically to Egyptians who elected to join the Israelites. This is what Rabbi Leibovich Douglas writes. Yes, you read that correctly. At the moment of liberation, it was not just the Israelites celebrating the birth of a new community, of a new world. It was the Israelites as well as Egyptians and those from other nations. It was people who chose the tradition officially through conversion, and many more who were merely moved to join the Israelites as fellow travelers. for the Israelites to welcome their former enemy into their world, and equally for the Egyptians and others to lean into a leap of faith, is but another miracle in a story full of miracles. The work that we are called to do in partnership is important for us to remember, and I acknowledge that in these 481 days since October 7th, 2023, I have had to work hard to remember to look beyond the tribe when it comes to not just interpersonal concern and the mission that we are called to fulfill as the descendants of Abraham, as Abraham and Sarah's children. It is important to remember that the fight for freedom needs to be completely universal, or it is not true even for some of us. How can I be free if my sister is not? And tomorrow, please God, 3 more of our sisters and brothers will be free. Poo, poo, poo. We know 2 of their names. We're awaiting a 3rd. It's so hard. But the world suffers when our attention is only tribal. And how can our attention not be entirely tribal right now? This is the story in our Parsha and in our world of Jewish liberation. This is a moment. And yet, throughout this journey, Rose, I'll use you for a moment. Rose, who has been part of every broadcast, just wrote, "I am a fellow traveler." Yes, you are, my sister. We are blessed as a community to include those who are not Jewish and who see the meaning and the beauty of Jewish tradition and Jewish good work in the world. In fact, this was true even in the time of the Talmud. There is a fascinating comment from Masechet Be'ah, from one of the tractates of the Talmud, if you're locating that in time, around 600 CE was the editing of this collection. The Talmud's pretty old. A teaching is that who was the mixed multitude, the Erev Rav, that we've been speaking about? Listen to this tradition. Anyone who has compassion for God's creatures, it is known that they are a descendant of Avraham Avinu, Abraham our father. And anyone who does not have compassion for God's creatures, it is known that they are not of the descendants of Avraham Avinu. How do you know that you're a descendant of this people? You have compassion for people. The qualification for being in the Erev Rav, this mixed multitude, and to be part of Am Yisrael really, that is all based on compassion. We are called to show compassion. Now, if we can say this now, and we must, and the rabbis of antiquity in the year 600 CE, reeling from the devastations of their times, could say it then, and the Torah, even in the moment of liberation itself, could make sure to reinforce that the Jews, or Am Yisrael at the time, left including those who needed and wanted to show compassion. It means that this whole notion of an Erev Rav, of a mixed multitude, is not something new. It's just hard to achieve. And in moments of trauma, it is hard to remember. But it is important. With the threat of the end of federal funding for countless nonprofits doing essential work on the ground for the world's most vulnerable people on these shores, we are not. UJA's constellation of thousands of organizations, that's not the entirety of those threatened, and that's not the entirety of those trying to do good. We must recognize that our efforts to do good, to repair the world, is something that unites us with others. I was blessed just 2 days ago to be on the 7th floor at UJA, where we had a summit to combat loneliness through something called social prescribing, to help the health agencies and medical agencies around the world to realize what some pioneers around the world are teaching us, which is that illness and loneliness can be treated in part by social connectivity, that loneliness is a medical threat. That means let's be together, friends. Let's be an Erev Rav. Let's be in relationship with each other. Let's remember that as we fight for survival and tribal strength, as we fight for life, as we fight for our beloved hostages, we fight for vulnerable human beings, and we earn our place as descendants of Avram and Sarah through the compassion we show. We have every right to expect that compassion from our neighbors. That's the fight for Jewish dignity. We don't let that go. But how powerful it is, friends, to remember that in our efforts to be sources of light in the world, number one, we are not alone in trying. And B, there are those who need us beyond the tribe. Let us be connected. Let us be loving. Let us be inclusive while fighting and demanding our dignity. Let us remember that the boundaries of community are meant to be porous, that the circles of belonging need to expand until we all remember that we belong to each other. That's what it is to be free, to belong to each other. And so in these tender moments, friends, in these tender moments, I invite you to remember that to be a descendant of Avram and Sarah means to wield compassion in the world, to fight for our freedom's safety as they did too, and to use whatever we have at our disposal to accomplish great good for others. We can do it all. We can. We're their children. Let's take a breath, send our hearts to the east, and pray like we've never prayed before for all of our beloveds to come home now. Kolon balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון ירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, friends.